This is Geoffrey See, and you're watching Baltimore Basics.
What you gonna do? What you gonna do? Pump it up.
I mean, my parents have always been into music. I came from a musical family. I mean, my mother used to sing. My father used to sing. They both sang on the choir together growing up. And then they've always appreciated music all through our childhood, all through. I remember playing, what is that, Marvin Gaye and Tammy Terrell, Ain't Nothing Like the Real Thing. My mother used to play that all the time, and my father would play not only that, but he would also play a lot of jazz. So I have my love for jazz from my parents as well, mostly my father, because he had all the jazz records, my daddy's records. Yeah, and so, what I loved about it was that my mother and father listened to many kinds of music. I mean, we had R&B, which included the Motowns and the Aretha Franklins and everything like that. Classical music with Tchaikovsky, Beethoven. Pictures as an Exhibition is one of my favorite ones. And of course, like I mentioned earlier, the jazz. So, oh gosh, don't get me started on that. Johnny Coltrane, Hannibal Adderley, Sonny Stitt, Sonny Rollins, Eddie Lockjaw Davis. Okay, I can go on. Eric Dolphy. Okay, all right, stop.
One more.
In fact, I have some of these records right here. It's just one of those things. Outside of house music, jazz is probably something that I can listen to all day and not get tired of it. Not get tired of it at all. And then from that, I started exploring other kinds of music, classic rock, all kinds of other things. So I could just go on and on and on. You know, it's something that I never really paid attention to when I was coming up. I just liked the music. And then we got a hold of a reel-to-reel tape recorder, a Sony, grandfather's Sony. And in addition to that, my father went out and got a cassette player. And I started recording music off the radio. Now, my complaint about the radio then was the announcer always talks during the song, and oftentimes during the best part of the song. Oh, so what I used to do in recording the songs off the radio is that I would edit or pause or cut the announcing off just so I could have the song. And one time I made a mistake in cutting it out, and something happened where the song just kind of doubled up, pop, pop. Well, that was a mistake that sounded like, I kind of like that. Pop, pop. Play again. Rewind. So that got me thinking, well, wait a minute, maybe I can somehow manipulate these songs and really make them and arrange them the way I want to hear it. And so I started doing pause button mixes. And the first song I never forget, when I even discovered it, was Rose Royce song called Do Your Dance. Do Your Dance. So it came out in 1978, 79, and that was the first record I tried to do an edit on. And the first edit, it worked because it was an extended version, and let's try to make a radio edit of it. So I did. Oh man, wait a minute, I can actually cut this thing? And so from there I started trying other songs. I remember a Cameo record on a 45 called Make It Hot. And it had that beat at the beginning. Dum, bum, ba-dum, ba-dum, bum. Make it hot. And so I liked that part. That beat was just so funky. So what I did I made it longer. I recorded it on record, on the cassette tape, and I just paused it, put the needle back to the beginning, paused it again, put the needle back to the beginning. So I had like 8 or 16 measures of boom, bum, 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 and it just kept on going. I'm like, oh man, I'm telling you, I'm like a little high school kid going, yeah, okay. And so that's really how that editing and the remixing started by doing those little cassettes, cutting the announcers out, and started making remixes or edits at the time out of that. And then I started bringing these cassette tapes to parties. You know, different high school parties I would go, and they would be playing the music. They really didn't have a DJ. They just had music playing. So I'd bring in my cassette, and I'd take the cassette and put it in the player, and people would start dancing and start dancing. Wait a minute. So I started crashing parties with my cassettes in my pocket. You know, it kind of started, are you coming to this party? Hey, you coming to this party? You bringing any music with you? You bringing it, you know? And then there was, we started having these crews, you know, these DJs would get together and they would get the turntables, and they would get all their equipment. And I remember being, at the time, a junior in high school. And what got me was the adventures of Grandmaster Flash on the Wheels of Steel. That blew my mind as an 11th grader. Like, how did they do that? You know, I heard I didn't know it was scratching. I thought it was some kind of like fancy synthesizer, whatever, you know. So I said, wait a minute. Now, having done pause mixes for a couple of years, real basic stuff, I said, well, wait a minute, let me do some tricks. So that is when I started doing tricks with the pause button, and I started doing those shotgun edits, you know, da 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 bum ba da 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 da, and started making rhythms with the pause button. And I attempted to duplicate the Grandmaster Flash on the Wheels of Steel track with a pause button. So I got all the records that I had together. I didn't have some of them, but I got what I could, and substitute the songs that I didn't have with songs that I did have, and I started. Yeah, I was a kid. I mean, I was a kid. I was broke. You know, how did I get turntables? You know, I used to, you know, have little jobs and used to work at the mall, Columbia Mall, when I was a kid, but that wasn't any money. You know. So, fast forward when I graduated, I got money from relatives. I got a turntable from, well, actually no, I didn't get the turntable. I got graduation gift. So I used that to go to Luskin's. Remember Luskin's? And I got my first turntable. It was a Technic turntable. And I went to Radio Shack and I got a Radio Shack mixer. Man, the one with the 4 AA batteries. Oh man, you know, I still have that mixer, by the way.
Oh wow.
Way.
Yeah, I still have that mixer. Yeah, I gotta show that thing. In fact, I might have posted it on Facebook, but I digress. So I had one turntable and one mixer. Okay, great. No money for the other turntable, but that's okay. I will make it work. So I had my father's belt-driven Pioneer turntable. That, rest in peace. I wore that thing out. And so I had 2 mismatched turntables, a Radio Shack mixer, and I got started mixing records. It was a disaster. It sounded like sneakers in the dryer at first, but then after that I started to get the hang out there and started doing parties. My first party was in August of 1982, after I graduated high school. There was a place right down the street from my house. It was a house party, and I remember playing, and I had my buddy. We called ourselves the Magnum Force. Yeah, my buddy Kenny Ace was rapping to that song called Heartbeat, and I was just boom, bam, boom, boom, bam, jigga, 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 bam, boom. So that was some fun. Those were some fun times, and that really started taking off because that party led to another party, and then to another party. Fast forward about 1983, so I guess about 6 months later, I had known that WEBB AM was playing mixes from different jocks from the Baltimore area. And somebody came up with the idea, well, have you thought about submitting stuff to the radio?